Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of The Power of Storytelling. Today we have Reed Johnston on with us today. Reed is a graduate from Texas A&M University with a bachelor's degree in architecture, and he is currently in the sales division of Nucor Corporation. If you guys do enjoy this conversation that we have today, make sure to follow on whatever platform you're listening or watching on, as we will be dropping a lot more episodes here in the near future. Thank you guys for stopping in, and let's get back to the conversation. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Power of Storytelling. Today we have Reed. Hey Reed, thank you for joining us. Usually we start off the conversation a bit by just kind of talking about yourself and introducing yourself, kind of telling us what you do, and then kind of go into like how you grew up and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, so that's kind of a very broad question. I'll kind of, narrow it down a little bit, but I'm from here in Dallas, Texas, and as you all know, I did grow up as a triplet with, two brothers and older sisters. So I kind of got to see, my sister grow up and learn from their mistakes and transition into becoming a better man.
Nice. So where did you go to like high school, and where did you go to college, and kind of, what did you major in, and why did you end up choosing that major?
Yeah, so I went to Plano West here in West Plano, and then so I was grew up playing sports, predominantly football. So I decided to go to Texas A&M on a
Oh,
preferred walk on, um, and I got my degree in architecture. Um, I decided to do that because my dad worked in construction and my mom worked in real estate. So I feel like it kind of tied in, together, just that influence of older people, just kind of, and also the people that surrounded me were also kind of doing a similar thing. And they looked and seemed like they were pretty successful at what they were doing. So,
yeah, that's awesome. I see like working in construction and like your mom being a realtor kind of helped you kind of choose and helped you kind of decide on what you wanted to do because you saw those walks of life, kind of saw what they were doing, and it probably interested you a little bit.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like you grew up with it and you form a passion with it. So,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
just
Um,
like a lot of younger people could, have the same relationship with the sport.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna ask you about that. So you said you went to A&M on a preferred walk on. What kind of like what lessons do you feel like you've gotten out of walking on and making the team and working with the team in general as well?
Yeah, I know this might kind of sound like cheesy to some people, but just specifically just don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people say that, but that is like probably the main thing that I took away from that, and that is like a true fact with just anything in life.
Yeah,
Um, Definitely think about the bigger picture, just with any aspect of anything you have a passion for, um, and just go for it and get dialed in. A lot of people don't know what they want to do with lot in life.
hmm,
Um, try different things. At a younger age, like, um, and there's something that'll stick, and once that one thing sticks, get dialed in and run with it. So
yeah, for sure. Either like finding something that you're good at, or like even or something you enjoy, even if you're not the best at it. If you
yeah,
enjoy it, you'll tend to want to like work harder at it and become one of the best at it. Which that's
exactly.
that's something that I would agree with as well. I think like kind of like what you said, trying out a bunch of different things is huge. I think that
Hmm.
not a lot of people they don't try out things enough. They go with one thing. Maybe they get like the first job out of college or even out of high school, and they kind of just stick with it and they stay there for multiple years. And it's
Yeah,
I think that it's important to try things, important to find something either that you're good at or that you enjoy or both, and that kind of
yeah,
leads you to feeling a little bit more free, not feeling like you're so stuck because there's a ton of different reasons why people stay in those either jobs or they stay in those roles because of either complacency or not wanting to. I mean, it's just not worrying about like what other people are thinking when it comes to that as well. But yeah, that's huge, man. I think that
yeah,
like either playing on a team with sports or an organization is important to one work with a team to learn people's skills. But that's awesome, man.
yeah.
I think that
It,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and definitely, being on a team, especially like A&M, a lot of people come from all different walks of
Mhm.
life. People from other countries are there, and people from all different, you know, socioeconomic classes are all coming together, and we all have one common goal, and that's to win a football game.
For
So,
sure.
um, but yeah, so like right now, what I'm doing is I'm currently working like in a sense, like a 9 to 5,
Hmm.
but that's not my goal. I've tried a lot of different things, and I found one thing. I'm kind of getting dialed in on it. But what I've noticed with people that work, a 9 to 5 is, they get kind of complacent. They might have like dreams and aspirations, going into it, and then after a few months, they're kind of like just, they just play the safe route.
For sure.
Um, Definitely have a big um, outlook on life and have a purpose in what you do. And if you enjoy doing a 9 to 5, do it, but do it at the best you could do it.
For sure.
Regardless, you know,
Yeah, I think that
if
that's
yeah,
when you see a lot of people whenever they get into that complacent role or they get to that job that they've either wanted or just chose, and they don't want to move. They kind of get into that mindset of like, this is where I am, this is where I'm gonna stay. Like once you lose that urge to keep pushing and being like a better you, that's where you start seeing like all of these, like, like, whether it's like the depression or all of these other things, these things kind of pop up because you're not fighting every day to become a better person. And I think that's very important, kind of like what you're saying is keep that hunger, keep that energy of wanting to become a better person every day.
yeah, exactly. And most of these companies, they pay, somewhat well, but if you want to have some type of freedom, money is, going to be able to, m- do that for you.
Mhm.
Um, I would say, do what you love doing, but if it doesn't pay you, then you're not able to live life. So, have that in the back of your mind. Let's be realistic here, and make sure that you're moving in, that direction.
For
That's
sure.
that's my advice.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I have another question here. I kind of like to talk to people about this. That whenever I see them have like this type of mindset where they're not being complacent, they've always wanted to become something bigger or better, and that's like
mhm.
an everyday thing. Is what do you feel like maybe an event or multiple events that kind of changed and transformed your mentality throughout childhood or throughout like your adolescence? Like, give me like some turning points or some events that you really feel like, okay, I can be something better or I want to be something better.
Yeah, the one again, I don't want to, give too many examples of specifically just playing football, but going through high school and having coaches, tell you can't do something, when in reality you know that you can, and then proving them wrong with playing at the next level was a game changing event for me. Watching SEC football players play on TV, and then transitioning to being on the field
For sure.
as well is kind of like mind blowing. It's on the outside looking in, it's different from the outside look or the inside looking out. So,
Kind of know that you can be there, like you're capable of something, and it just makes you like even more hungry. It's
yeah,
not just like
exactly.
an imaginary thing, but you're actually doing it, you're putting in the work and becoming that person that you were watching before.
Yeah, and it does not come easy. That's what I've learned. It's you got to put in work to be able to get there. Like my schedule when I got to the college level would be at 6 a.m. all the way through like 10 p.m.
Oh wow.
So every day except for like Sundays would just be like a 4 hour thing, but it's not easy. So just you got to get after it.
For sure. Hard work is never like out of the equation. It's never, you always look at all these successful people and you look at like all of these people, these mentors or these idols that you look at and you're like, you wish you could be in that position, but you don't realize how much actual like hard work they had to put in to get there. You just see them shining.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
So I know it sounds, everybody says that, but it's true.
yeah,
You know.
it's definitely not something to look over. I mean, you do hear it a lot, especially with social media and stuff coming out. You'll hear all of these people say the same thing over and over again that you tend to kind of just like let it blow by. But sometimes it is honestly one of those things that you can't just do without. It's not just gonna happen without you really putting in hard work, really kind of going over the top. It's not just, these set hours. It's literally doing it as much as you physically possibly can.
Yeah, and I could exactly. That's I would agree with you on that. and I could give you another example. A lot of people can relate to having divorced parents
For sure.
nowadays, because I don't know what the fact is. I mean, I'm sure I could look it up, but I've heard a few times that it's almost 80% of our generation has divorced parents. Um, Growing up and seeing that happen, and then seeing the position that my dad was in and working a 9 to 5, um, it just looked to me that it was not a sustainable position to be in. Um, and seeing that he's worked for the same company for over 40 years is just, you know, something that I do not want to do. But also, he supports me in the fact that he does not want me to do the same thing. So that's why I have that mindset of, working a 9 to 5 to me is
Not
not the safe route.
for sure. Yeah, I definitely feel like definitely, and that kind of goes into your mindset. Like some people, I can't knock them for wanting just that comfortable living or the good job and really doing something for like a bigger company or a bigger role, and doing what they want, and then coming home at the end of the day and spending time with their family or doing
Yeah.
what they enjoy. I love the people that want to do that. That isn't personally like what I can see like you really truly want. We want to do something that's even bigger than that, having a bigger impact, but that also comes with all that extra work. It also comes with all the stress that comes with that. And that's kind of why
Yeah.
you'll see these people, they talk about it all the time, the hard work, the stress that comes with it. But if you end up keep like pushing through it and going with it despite all those challenges, I mean, the freedom that comes with it, the impact that you actually have that comes with it is so worth it. But it does
Yeah. And
take some work.
you could change a lot of other people's lives along the way with, if you get into like having a company, you could hire people on, that have the same similar mindset, or people that you see potential in, but they can't find that path,
Hmm.
and you could guide them in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of like guidance, speaking of like those mentors, did you have any mentors or any role models, whenever you were growing up that kind of helped you shift this mentality?
Yeah, I thought about that question. I feel like my dad would probably be, my role model in a sense. Like I just said, for me not to have that safe position at a job. I know we're talking
Mhm.
about that a lot, but um, that's the fact of, in a sense, like life, where I'm at right now. So that's why I'm talking about it. But I feel like my father, is a good example. Um, your mother raises, a boy, but then your father raises a man.
For sure.
So um, take that what you want with it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely get it. Like I've met your dad before as well, and there's something to be said about someone that like a father figure or a figure that tells you the importance of getting up when you need to or sticking to what you say, like being a man of your word. And that's
Yeah,
super important, and I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why having a mentor is so important, because they've lived life, they've had experiences that you haven't had yet. So if they can tell
yeah,
you the importance of certain things and living by your values, and that's super important. So I'm glad it's your dad. I think that's phenomenal.
yeah.
And I'm
I
glad, I
appreciate
mean, you can definitely see in your mentality that you do stick to what you say. You go the extra mile when you say you want to do that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And a couple more questions here. I would say like, so if you could like ask or tell your younger self, by a couple years, if you could tell him like one good like piece of information to kind of help him guide him or guide you in a sense of where you would want to go, what would be like that piece of information or advice?
To always look at the bigger picture and don't look at your current situation. Looking at your current situation um, can, be very discouraging in moments of stress and anxiety or whatever that may be. But when you look at the bigger picture, you tend to never really give up, and you look past those moments of stress and anxiety. Um, yeah, that's what I would say.
That's awesome. And yeah, always like remembering why you do it in a sense, like you're always gonna have those times of stress. Like everybody does. A lot of people, whenever they think of like they have those times where they're just like thinking like woe is me, like I'm going through something. A lot of people go through stuff, but kind of like what you're saying, you got to think of why you're doing what you're doing, why you're putting yourself in this position, because in the future it's just going to be a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
awesome,
So
man.
that may be a week from now, a month from now, but somehow, some way, you're gonna make it happen
Yeah, just
if you
keep
keep
working.
pushing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. Well, I do appreciate you for coming on and talking about it and talking about yourself and kind of explaining some key points that you've had throughout your life and your experiences. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, man. I appreciate for being on. Is there anything else you'd like to say or mention?
No, I'm all good. Just y'all take it easy.
Yeah, keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Awesome, man. I appreciate for having you on, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, later.
See you.